I have a question for you ladies, and that question is around manifestation. A buzzword that is out there all the time right now. There's been a million books written on manifestation, and I just wondered how you guys feel about it. Do you actually believe that manifestation is possible? And if you do, how do you use manifestation? What is it that you do in order to try to manifest things in your life?
Um, I can say something about manifestation. I'm I actually really dislike that word because I think it's somewhere along the line people have taken it and felt that all they have to do is visualize where they want to be and they're going to get there, and they keep forgetting that you still have to do the work. You still have to take action. And I listened to my daughters talk about all of that stuff because it's very, when I grew up, manifestation, I don't even think we knew that what that word meant, and it's very much in vogue that you use that word. And it scares me because I think it's like people think that's all they have to do, and if they don't know that it's lovely because you're visualizing, you're journaling, you're doing all this stuff to get your goal set out or what your life wants to be. But I think there's a real missing part that you still have to do the work and you still have to put yourself out of comfort zones. There's a lot that goes on with manifestation. So that's like, I really don't like the way the word is being used nowadays. I think they've taken it and I don't know, butchered it or something.
I think that's so good because I think you're right. There is a part about manifestation that is super important and really good in terms of that visualization to try to understand what it is that you actually want and to become as crystal clear as you can about that, because we will often create a goal that says, oh, I want more money. And it's like, well, what does that mean? I'll give you 10 cents. There's more money, right? It's
I want to be happy.
Yeah, what exactly does that mean? So like, I really think the whole visualization part of that is a really critical exercise, because the more clear you can be, the better chance is that you are going to be able to navigate to get to that. But Tracy G, you hit it on the head. There has to be action behind that. You can't just sit there and go, let me hope and pray that this is going to happen without doing anything besides just hoping and praying that it's going to happen. Like, you have to put in the work, like you said, you have to take action on that. But I honestly believe that if you have created that vision, you've manifested that goal, that thing in your mind, you are far likely to get there than if you don't do any of that. Mm-hmm. What about you, Michelle?
I think there's a little bit of both. I do believe manifestation has been blown out of the water. And there are people that walk around and said, oh, I just thought I would get an extra $1,000 check in the mail today or this weekend. It just appeared. I'm going to call the BS flag. I'm not calling them a liar. It could have been a coincidence. It could have been 1,000 different reasons why that came. But I do believe you can manifest what your goals are. Like you said, Tracy E. and Tracy G, you have to do the work. And to me, when you manifest, it's kind of like you are moving your mindset towards your goal, because you're starting to bring in that thought process of, I have that goal. I'm moving towards that goal. That goal is possible. I'm visualizing that goal, like all of those things. And I'm going to use me for a perfect example. I have a race coming up in October, if you hadn't heard. If I don't put in any work, all the manifestation to complete that goal, it's not going to get me over the finish line. No offense. It's not. If I don't take action towards my goal, then I can manifest and watch me go over that finish line at the mileage I'm training for. But without action, it won't happen. It's not going to happen. You have to put in work. It has to. So I think it's a balance of both. I think it is manifesting, getting your mindset where it needs to be, moving past the fear, getting through the uncomfortable, removing limiting beliefs, like doing all of that work, manifesting to move forward, and doing the work. Or else everybody would be able to manifest anything and everything, and we'd all have the perfect hair, the perfect house, the perfect job, the right amount of money, all of that. And I'm not putting down manifestation. That's not what I'm doing. I agree. I think with what you guys have said, it's been a buzzword without people really understanding what it means.
Yeah. I think manifestation really helps with the subconscious to actually plant the seeds of what it is that you are trying to create and the goal it is that you're trying to meet. That is part of that whole manifestation, because on the subconscious level you are literally creating the end result that you want. But it's not enough just to think about it. You have to, like you said, do the work. You can't, win a race without running a mile. There's just not
No,
gonna.
I'll call my trainer and say, I'm just gonna manifest. I'm gonna get my 50 miles in, and I don't have to do any training from now till then. Not going to work. And it's the same with us. The three of us we're building and working independently in our own businesses. We are putting the work in.
Mhm.
And we might be manifesting our own business goals, but we're also working to get to that goal. Like we're taking action.
Mhm.
But I think
Is there anything you can think of in your life, any time that you can think of in your life, where if you would look back on that event, you could say, you know what, like I did manifest this.
when we had our children and babies, I didn't want to work outside of the house physically. And we had this really amazing contract where I was to go in to their corporate office. And we just felt that wasn't what we wanted. And so we just said, well, this is what we want. Let's see what happens. And this was way before anyone did stay-at-home jobs and all that stuff. And they gave it to us. And it was exactly what my husband and I wanted. We wanted me here with the kids, but working. And so I think that was a bit of manifestation. But we also went out of our comfort zone because we challenged the client we're like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to work with you in that way, which is
Right.
can be hard.
So did you manifest to find a job to work at home first? Or did you and your husband had that discussion that you were going to be, if you were going to work, you were going to work out of the house, not leave the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you kind of probably had it at that point, and then a job came along. So you had what you wanted first, meaning you and your husband had the decision you were
Right.
going to work in the home. And then this great contract came along,
Right.
and they had a different idea.
Yeah.
But you guys, so is it just a change of words then? Back then, more like, no, this is our priority.
Mhm.
This is how we're going to handle our family life.
Yep.
Now we say, well, this is what I'm manifesting for my family life now. Maybe not so, is it just a change of verbiage?
And the ask too. A lot of people about the manifestation, they don't do the ask. They don't put outside of the comfort zone or challenge themselves on things. So yeah, but I would say that was a bit of manifestation.
I mean,
we were clear on our goals, and then when opportunity came, we clarified how we can work with that opportunity or not work with that opportunity.
But also but that's the thing. And I think that part is really super important, is there is that belief and that certainty that that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a difference between sitting there and going, oh, this is what I want, and having that complete belief and certainty that this is what you're getting.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that is part of that manifestation
Mhm.
piece that is so critical,
Yes.
that a lot of us just forget about. It's that belief and that certainty that that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. You're not just talking the talk. You really,
Right.
Yeah, like there's no question. Like you don't know how any of it's going to unfold. You don't know how it's going to happen necessarily. You just know 100%. I'm staying at home with my kids, and I will be working from home. I don't know what that looks like yet, but that's what's going to happen.
yeah.
Right.
Right. And then I think, again, we put things, that gets into our subconscious, that we then can start looking for ways or opportunities to make that happen, to make that work. Like, oh, look at this opportunity. I can actually work from home, and we can create what it is that we said we wanted to create.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to go, what you're saying is part of that manifestation. When I say the ask, is that exactly what you said, you don't know how it's going to work out. So when this opportunity comes, you don't necessarily have to take it as is. You can challenge this opportunity or whatever it is. You could challenge the way you're getting your race, whatever. And
Right.
lo and behold, it actually is what you manifested. So
Right. And so it was your priority at the time. You manifest whatever word we choose. It still comes down to what you said, Tracy E., our belief in what we want, our vision, our goal, what it is. But it comes with that rooted belief that this is where you're supposed to be. And I'll be honest with you, there are times I'm out there running and we're doing all this training, and there are times I'm like, I have no clue how this is going to happen. Like I have none clue, because this is a 30-hour race. But
do you have that belief and certainty?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've said this to my trainer. I said, if I do not cross that finish line, it is not going to be because I wasn't prepared.
yeah.
Something else can happen, but it's not going to be because of my disbelief. I'm not going to get by. I've never said, well, I hope I can make my mileage. And you guys know that I've always been like, this is what I'm doing. And that's a form of manifestation, because I have a heart, deep down passion and belief.
But what did you have before that passion and belief? You had clarity of what you wanted. And I think we've talked about in past episodes, like checking in and going, is this the life I want to lead?
Yes.
And if it is, then in comes, let's start using that manifestation and that action. But I think it also starts way back at what I don't want to use the word goals. I think it's more of how I want to live this life. Right?
I've been, that word has been a struggle for me in 2023. I don't know if I want to change it to a passion, a dream. I don't want to say dreams. Like it is it's just who I am. Like it's part of what I am. And I also talked about my race is only one part of that mountain, because my ultimate goal is to be a healthy, older woman that my children will not have to be. I want to be vital all the way up till I'm like 85, 90 years old.
I know what yours is, Tracy. I know what you manifested.
What did I manifest?
Your home.
I did. Okay. So yeah.
Oh,
actually,
yes. I remember that story. Yes.
You did, right?
That's very true. Very, very true. So I, as a young kid, on our way to our cottage, we would drive through this area, and I just knew in my heart of hearts, I had no idea.
Belief.
Just belief that at some point, this is where I was going to live. Absolutely. Absolutely. I also manifested my marriage. So that's, that was another one. Because when I I've known my husband my whole life, literally my whole life. And I can remember when I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, sitting on the porch of a friend's house, and he was on a swing with one of his friends. And I said to her, I am going to marry him at some point in my life. That will happen. And I was like, there was no ifs, ands, buts, or anything. Like nothing. That this was it. This is what's gonna happen. And I did. I did. It's that
Beautiful
kind of
love
certain,
story.
huh?
It's a beautiful love story.
I know, I know. But I mean, it's like I can feel that certainty in my body. Like when I said that to her, I can recreate that feeling of certainty and belief in my body. And there was absolutely no question. Like he didn't have a choice. Like there is going to be no choice for you. Like, so, you know, it's just going to happen. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's just crazy. So you think about, and that's the kind of certainty and belief that I believe is what is required in that manifestation process, is to have that, the clarity of what it is that you want. And the more clear and more visual you can be, like Michelle, you knowing exactly what you're going to wear on race day, exactly how you're going to feel on race day, watching yourself go across that finish line. But it's not a hope. It's not like, oh, I'm going to hope that this is going to happen. I'm going to do all the stuff, but I'm just going to hope that's going to happen. Yeah. That's not it.
Okay,
there has to be that belief and that certainty.
I have a question for you. Can you pull up that feeling? You just said that you could just like, you remember that feeling. Can you pull that up for other, like, can you manifest that feeling for other things? Quite, I don't want to use the word easily. Can you do that? First of all, can you bring that up and you go, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. So I could pull in that feeling, or that's just something that you would have to go and be clear on what you're doing, start working on it. Or can you pull that feeling? Can you pull that feeling?
It's interesting because I've had this happen to me multiple times in my life, and it's not, I can pull the feeling so that I can right now, like I know exactly what that feeling is. I'm feeling it right now in my body, viscerally, every place in my body. I know exactly what that feels like. Okay. But when I am, let's say, moving forward, going for a project, going for a goal, a dream, whatever that is, there comes a point in that journey that it shows up. It's not like I go, okay, let's just get this feeling and it's going to be a done deal. It doesn't happen for me that way. It's like I have to work at it. I have to, be super clear about it, journal about it. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there it is.
Yep.
And then it's like, it is such a peaceful place to be, really, because what happens is that I can almost give over to the inevitability that it's going to happen. It's like, okay, I know this is going to happen.
It's a calmness.
Yeah, it's like, this is happening. I know that there's a bunch of stuff that's going to happen on my end to make this work. And I'm certainly willing to explore it all, but I know what's going to happen. Yeah. That is a very cool place when that happens. Yeah.
And I think that's that energy too, because I know exactly what, like, mine is obviously different than yours and Michelle's, but it's just like that. It's a calmness where I've got this, but it's a very powerful energy, which is why I think that whole manifestation is, you're moving this energy in a particular way.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I have that exact same energy about my race, but I still have at times, that's why, as we're all saying, we have to still do what we have to do, because then there are at times where the outside energy, and I'm not trying to be superstitious, pulls at you. Your limited belief's gonna pop in for a second, because it's not gonna go away. That fear is gonna pop in for a moment and it's not gonna go away. But when you want that item so bad, that is the thing you want, whether it's the home, the husband, a race, to stay home with your children, whatever it is, you're able to move past whatever that fear is that's overcoming. And I'm going to tell you, I was before, October, I was 1 minute on, 1 minute off in my runs. And this Saturday, I sent a message to my crew, of my support team and my trainer, crying because I did my first 40 minutes straight. I've never ran 40 minutes straight. No one asked me, well, how fast did you go? Did you do this? Did you do that? It was just a pure celebration. And so every time you overcome that and move towards that manifestation piece that you want, it becomes even bigger and more shiny and more, I'm going to do it. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts.
I think it's that inevitability piece that it's going to happen. And yes, fear, fear and doubt and all of that is going to come knocking on the door, because that's what it's supposed to do, because that's the challenge, right? It's like, okay, well, how serious are you? Like, is this really a done deal, or like what's going on? But I think the difference is that when it is something that is simply a hope, fear and doubt looms much larger, because we do not have that belief, that certainty, that inevitability that it's going to happen. Whereas when fear and doubt show up when we're in that place, it's like, yeah, okay, I see you, I hear you, come along for the ride, because I can't do anything about you, so I'm just gonna deal with it and still keep moving forward. That's the critical piece.
And I think that's a good thing to bring up about manifestation. I think sometimes people think, like you started in the beginning, Tracy G, you just have these thoughts and things are going to happen. It's hard. Like, you didn't just like one day say, oh, that's the house I'm going to have, Tracy E. And then magically it appeared on the deed with your name on it. Like, that didn't happen. Tracy G, I'm sure there were days where first you got out of your comfort zone way back when, staying at home was not a big thing, to stay at home and do your work. That was huge to overcome that fear to ask that question. That was huge. So I think what we're trying to say is, one, you got to be crystal clear. You got to be crystal clear on what you want. You can't say, I want more money, because like you said, well, here's 10 cents. You have more money. I want to, like, you have to be clear and make sure it's what you want. You got to sit with it for a while. And a while could be 24 hours. It could be 10 minutes. It could be a month. And start understanding how. You might not know how you're going to get there. You didn't know how you were going to get that home. You didn't even know your husband at 5 years old. Was he going to be your husband? Well, who knew? You did, but no one did. Tracy, you asked that question to, no, I'm going to stay home. Can I do this from home? But you still have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable to go after what you're manifesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But I also think if you're not crystal clear, but you do know, I want to get somewhere, is if you start taking action, it starts to become clear. You're not going to have that belief right away. You're not going to have that clarity right away. But if you take those actions, you will get clarity. You will get to the point where you can start to really believe, because I think the more those actions happen, the more what you were saying earlier about the doubts and talking to you, is that you start to squash those, and the believe in me comes up higher. And like what you said, Michelle, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It's work again.
Yeah.
And I think that the part of the clarity to try to help people to get clear is to ask yourself why. Why is this important? Michelle, you laid out a very clear reason as to why this race is important. It's not just the race.
Yeah.
That's going to be a nice, medal to hang up in
Yeah.
your house, but the underlying reason for that is much stronger. The same thing for you, Tracy. You're, you wanting to be with your kids was the why of why you wanted to manifest that for yourself. So I think the why we don't dig down enough. It's like, well, why is that important? And once you have that answer, it's like, well, why is that important?
Yes.
Why do I want that? Why? Like, because the more you do that, the greater evidence you give yourself, and the easier it is to to believe in that inevitability, and that have that belief that this is actually possible for you.
And that's very important, Tracy, I think, is if you cannot ask yourself why, that's the first step of going forward. And it's okay if you can't figure out why. You might have a yearning for something, and why is that? Then that's what you have to sit with a little bit, and maybe journal about it, and really start to pull apart that why. Because as you said, my first why 3 years ago was, well, I always take care of myself. My son is the race director here. It's a good race for me to try something like this on. I could have like gone all the way through. And I did 18 miles. It's not something to shake a stick at, but it wasn't anywhere close to my goal. I was prepared, but the mindset was total. I was scared out of my bejeebies. And then this in 22, I was to run it again. And as we know, I had to pull out because of the health issue. So when this one came along, it was now that burning desire was so deep and so like ignited within me. Like, I'm doing, like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not doing this. But now it was like, well, why? Why is it so important to you, Michelle? Like, it's a race. And it came down to, it had nothing to do with the race. The race is just a tool I'm using to build up my health. My second tool is Miss Amber, who we've had on beforehand. Next May, she is working to achieve to be the only second woman to finish 551 miles in 10 days. So she needs a crew, a team that's there.
Right. And she's manifesting it, but she's also doing the work.
But she's doing it, but I'm on that team.
Like,
that team, it's the importance of me being healthy and able to go out on the trails with her and get her mindset right is important. So that's the second tool to my goal. And the ultimate tool is I just want to be climbing mountains, literally in Vermont at the age of 85.
Yeah.
But 3 years ago, that wasn't my why.
And I think it's important to recognize that sometimes you just have to work through that. It takes a while. It can take a couple of years. That desire, that want kind of hangs there constantly in the background, and you're like, okay, well, I got to do something about this, right? But it can take a while before you can figure that part out. It really can. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean, oh, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll just ditch the whole thing. Let it percolate. Let it just sit there on the stove and simmer and figure out, and come back and visit it once in a while. And when the time is right, it will be right. You will know it. You will know it in your DNA. You will know it.
It will.
Such a great feeling.
So we would love to hear what your thoughts are on manifestation. And as Tracy G was asking before, have you ever manifested, or Tracy E, I can't remember which one asked, have you ever manifested something before and it came true? And like for Tracy G, it wasn't even the buzzword back then. For her, when it came up.
I'm so ahead of my time.
You are. Put it down here in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to hit notifications, because every Wednesday is a new episode. Until then, have a great day.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.